For as long as I can remember, I was taught that family was supposed to be supportive, honest, and protective. I believed that my parents would always have my back, that they understood the sacrifices I had made to secure my future. That belief shattered the moment I realized they had taken my emergency fund, not just borrowed it or asked for help, but outright stolen it to pay for my cousin's extravagant wedding. Please subscribe to our channel and help us to reach 1,000 subscribers. Please just subscribe us. It started innocently enough. My cousin Lisa was getting married, and my parents were beyond excited. The preparations consumed them, endless discussions about venues, catering, flower arrangements, and guests. Lisa, of course, was the golden child, the one my parents doted on more than anyone else. So when she decided she wanted an over-the-top fairy tale wedding, my parents made it their mission to make it happen, no matter the cost. I had been saving my emergency fund for years. It was my safety net, my way of ensuring that no matter what life threw at me, I would be prepared. Late nights, extra shifts, sacrifices. I built that fund through sheer determination. It was mine, untouched, waiting for the moment I truly needed it, until it wasn't. One afternoon, I logged into my savings account, planning to make a transfer. What I saw made my stomach drop. The balance, a number that had once given me comfort, was gone. Nearly every single dollar had been withdrawn. Confusion turned to horror. Had my account been hacked? Had I made a mistake? I frantically checked the withdrawal records, and then I saw it. The transaction history showed the money had been taken by my parents. I confronted them immediately, demanding an explanation. My mother waved it off casually, as if it was nothing more than a small inconvenience. "It's for Lisa's wedding," she said. "She deserves a perfect day. You're young. You'll have time to save again." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "That money wasn't for Lisa's wedding," I said, my voice sharp, my heart pounding. "It was for emergencies, for my future." My father scoffed, shaking his head. "Don't be selfish. Family comes first. This wedding is important. Besides, we'll help you later if something happens." Help me? They had just stolen from me. They had taken money that wasn't theirs, without asking, without remorse, all for a single day that had nothing to do with me. I stared at them, feeling a wave of betrayal unlike anything I had ever experienced. They hadn't forgotten my hard work. They had dismissed it entirely, choosing to prioritize Lisa's lavish celebration over my stability. That was the moment I knew. I wasn't just going to sit back and accept it. If they wanted Lisa's wedding to be unforgettable, I was going to make sure it was, for all the wrong reasons. The betrayal burned deep, but I wasn't going to let it consume me. My parents had stolen my emergency fund, the money I had worked tirelessly to save, the safety net I had built for myself, and used it to fund my cousin Lisa's extravagant wedding. They hadn't asked, hadn't even hinted at needing help. They had simply taken it as though my hard-earned savings were theirs to use as they pleased. And now they expected me to move on, to accept their actions without protest. But I wasn't about to let them off the hook. If they thought they could dismiss my sacrifices, they were about to learn just how wrong they were. Lisa's wedding was the talk of the family. My parents were practically glowing with pride, boasting about the venue, the catering, the designer dress. They acted as though they had pulled off a miracle, as though their generosity had made Lisa's dreams come true. Meanwhile, I watched from the sidelines, biting back the anger that threatened to spill over. Every detail of the wedding was a reminder of what they had taken from me, my stability, my security, my future. But instead of confronting them outright, I decided to play the long game. If they wanted Lisa's wedding to be unforgettable, I was going to make sure it was, for all the wrong reasons. The first step in my plan was simple: gather information. I started paying closer attention to the wedding preparations, noting every detail my parents were involved in: the guest list, the seating arrangements, the vendors they had hired. I made sure to keep track of everything. I even overheard conversations about last-minute changes and potential hiccups, storing the information away for later use. My parents were so caught up in the excitement that they didn't notice my quiet observations. They thought I was indifferent, maybe even supportive. But in reality, I was laying the groundwork for their downfall. As the wedding day approached, I began to implement my plan. It wasn't about sabotaging Lisa's big day. She wasn't the one who had wronged me. It was about exposing my parents' actions, about making them face the consequences of their betrayal. I started by spreading subtle hints among the family, mentioning how generous my parents had been in funding the wedding. I didn't outright say where the money had come from, but I dropped enough clues to make people curious. The whispers began almost immediately, relatives exchanging glances and murmuring questions about how my parents had managed to afford such an extravagant event. Then came the wedding itself. The venue was breathtaking, the decorations flawless, the atmosphere buzzing with excitement. My parents were in their element, basking in the praise and admiration of the guests. They smiled, laughed, and mingled, completely unaware of what was about to unfold. I waited until the reception, when the speeches began, to make my move. As the microphone was passed around, I stood up, my heart pounding, but my resolve unwavering. "I just want to say a few words," I began, my voice steady despite the tension in the room. My parents looked at me, their expressions curious but unconcerned. They had no idea what was coming. "I think we can all agree that this wedding is absolutely stunning," I continued, glancing around at the guests. "Lisa looks beautiful, the venue is perfect, and the effort that went into making this day so special is truly remarkable." The room buzzed with agreement, my parents smiling proudly. But then I shifted my tone. "And I think it's important to acknowledge the sacrifices that made this possible," I said, my gaze locking onto my parents. "Because weddings like this don't come cheap. They require dedication, hard work, and sometimes unexpected contributions." My mother's smile faltered, her eyes narrowing slightly. My father shifted in his seat, his expression growing tense. The guests were silent now, their attention fully on me. "I'd like to personally thank my parents," I said, my voice sharp but calm, "for their creativity in finding ways to fund this wedding. It's not every day you see someone take their child's emergency fund without asking. But hey, family comes first, right?" The room erupted into murmurs, guests exchanging shocked glances as my parents froze, their faces pale. My mother opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. My father looked down, his jaw clenched, unable to meet my gaze. Lisa stared at me, her expression a mix of confusion and disbelief. I set the microphone down, my point made, and walked back to my seat. The whispers grew louder, relatives piecing together the truth as my parents sat in stunned silence. They had wanted to be the heroes of the day, the ones who had made Lisa's dreams come true. Instead, they were now the center of a scandal, their actions laid bare for everyone to see. In the days that followed, the fallout was undeniable. My parents tried to defend themselves, claiming they had meant well and didn't think it would be a big deal. But their excuses fell flat, the damage already done. Relatives who had once admired them now questioned their integrity, their reputation tarnished by their own greed. Lisa, to her credit, apologized profusely, insisting she hadn't known where the money had come from. I accepted her apology. It wasn't her fault, after all, but my relationship with my parents would never be the same. As for me, I rebuilt my emergency fund, determined to never let anyone take advantage of me again. The betrayal had hurt, but it had also taught me a valuable lesson. Trust is earned, not given. My parents had stolen from me, but in the end, I had taken back something far more important, the power to stand up for myself and demand the respect I deserved. They thought they could dismiss my sacrifices, but I showed them what happens when you cross the line. And my revenge? It was perfect.